Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me today. I am Dr. Jasmine, a naturopathic doctor, and my passion is hair growth from within. So today's video is going to be dedicated to the next key root cause of hair shedding, poor growth, which is inflammation. So what is inflammation? Right? A lot of times I feel like when I ask a family member or a friend or a client, they know that it's bad, but aren't quite sure what it is or what its purpose is. So, by definition, inflammation is actually a key part of the body's defense system. It is the process in which the body recognizes harmful, unlike invaders, and begins the healing process. So, basically, says, okay, you shouldn't be here. Let me attack so that you don't harm the host, which is us. This process is helpful, when we get exposed to something like an invading organism or toxins. Inflammation protects us so that we don't succumb in the worst way. The issue with inflammation is when that acute inflammatory process turns into a chronic, meaning this is just happening over and over and over again, right? That chronicity of low grade or high grade inflammation leads to damage of healthy tissues. And over time, this can lead to dysfunction in the immune system, which in some cases we can develop autoimmunity, where our body actually starts to attack itself. And so we get inflammatory processes that's triggered by something that is of ourselves, which isn't really supposed to be happening. Now, sometimes what's happening, like your inflammatory process is attacking an intruder, but because there's so much happening around that intruder, or that intruder is so invasive, that inflammatory process has to be larger to really combat it. Well, in that process, sometimes we get collateral damage of healthy tissue. And in some cases, that can be like your scalp. Now, what are the telltale signs? Well, redness, swelling, pain, loss of function. These are key signs of an inflammatory process happening in the body. So think of kind of like a bee sting, right? Like, let's say a bee stung me on the finger. It would be hot and red, and my skin would hurt, it would swell, and then it's a severe reaction. I might even lose function of that finger where the bee stung me. Well, this is my body's way of reacting and helping me heal from this, so that you know it doesn't like spread and get worse, right? In your scalp, you might experience things like tenderness to the touch. So if you're like me, when you were younger, you were told you were tender-headed, that might have just been inflammation in the scalp. Redness, itchiness, dryness, dandruff or flakiness, and also slow growth. So do you ever experience these signs? If so, you're not alone. Many individuals experience this from time to time. But if you're like another set of individuals who may be experiencing hair loss and slowed growth too, this can be associated with different conditions like CCCA and FFA, or scarring type alopecias. These conditions' hallmark is actually inflammation, and anti-inflammatory drugs are the driving treatment principle. So it's a really big factor when it comes to us being able to grow healthy hair. So, what stimulates it, right? Like, you don't just sit down and get inflamed. Like, there's usually triggers, right? So, there's a trigger of like a invader, like a bacterial infection or a bee sting. But what are other things that maybe aren't as let's say like big as a bee sting or a cold? Well, there's actually a lot of things, unfortunately, that can cause us to get inflamed. But one thing that we can really control, or at least try to control as much as possible, is our diet, right? So, a diet full of things like sugar, artificial flavors, things that are low in nutrients are huge factors at increasing that inflammatory process. Also, eating your allergens. So, if you have foods that you're sensitive to or that you create an allergic response to, this can create an inflammatory state. Now, it typically starts like in your gut, and then we get what's called leaky gut or gut permeability, where those like tight junctions, so those really tight areas where things, can't get through, they start to loosen. Right. And so more food particles get through and through into your bloodstream, and then your immune system's like, what is this? And it attacks, right? So by avoiding those foods, we can heal some of that inflammation that's going on and reduce that overall chronic inflammation. Also, chronic stress. So, over time, this increases the inflammatory response too. So, if you have anything that's stressing you mentally, emotionally, physically, handling that, managing that will overall reduce your inflammatory response. Also, your environment plays a huge role as well. Okay, so from toxins in our food and our water to the air that we breathe, even to the products we put on our skin and our hair, these toxins, they are in many cases can cause a whole range of things, but at the core, what they're doing is creating inflammation because the body sees it as something foreign, something that shouldn't be here. Toxins are things that can range from like heavy metals to chemicals to biotoxins from other organisms like bacterium or fungi that can negatively impact us. So there's all of these like ways that we can get inflamed. So how do we fight inflammation, right? Well, the beautiful part of natural medicine is that foods and herbs that we encounter every day are full of anti-inflammatory properties. And the great thing is that if we use these in our daily diets, we can see the benefits of their anti-inflammatory powers regularly. Some of my favorites are ones that you've probably used. The first is going to be turmeric. Now, this has gotten so much attention lately, and it's for good reason. It's full of curcuminoids, which are the anti-inflammatory compounds. These are responsible for reducing that inflammatory process. And this spice is wonderful because you can use it in a variety of foods. So on eggs or in your soups or even in a smoothie or on a salad can be a really great way to just incorporate this on a daily basis. Some other ones that I love are ginger and cinnamon. I kind of lump these together because I like to use them together often, honestly. Um, the gingerols and the gingerone, these give ginger its bioactivity. Cinnamon has some oils as well that gives it its anti-inflammatory activity. So, add it to your soups or your smoothies. I like to add it to my coffee or tea, just to give it a little kick, and a nice anti-inflammatory boost as well. Another very powerful herb is going to be rosemary. Rosemary, I feel like a lot of times we find a lot of information about using it topically, which is great. Like it helps with blood flow, but it's also really great internally because of a compound called rosmarinic acid. It's a very powerful anti-inflammatory. And so we're going to be, by ingesting it, you're going to be getting really good anti-inflammation all over the body. And the more you get it all over the body in some of those more important areas, like your joints, your skin, if there's heart inflammation or respiratory inflammation, these systems have to be taken care of well before like your scalp. So if we can calm the inflammation as a whole in the system, you're going to see more calmness of the scalp and then, more growth. Um, the next herb is going to be black pepper. Now, black pepper, is so common used in cooking and often linked to turmeric. And that's because the piperine in black pepper helps us to absorb the curcuminoids because on their own, they're not that bioavailable. So piperine actually increases this. And it's a powerful antioxidant on its own. So it's actually been shown in a few studies to reduce the inflammatory mediators that's common in RA. So if you're ever cooking, add black pepper to the mix. And then foods. So fruits and vegetables, of course, your brightly colored blues and purples and reds and yellows and oranges, greens. You want to have a nice mix of these every day. Also, good fatty fish. So, sardines and salmon, and these are going to be really great foods because they bring those omega fats. Okay, seeds like chia seeds and flax seeds, also walnuts. These are great high in those omega 3s to help fight inflammation. And then I also like to add in other just healthy fats. So, avocado, olive oil, adding these to your cooking can be just a really good way to start every day, making your life fit a more anti-inflammatory lifestyle rather than, oh my God, I'm inflamed, let me eat all this stuff right now. It's definitely a lifestyle change rather than a, kind of a quick fix. So there you have it. Inflammation, it's a huge underlying cause of slowed to no growth of hair. Unfortunately, there's so many ways to trigger it, but the good news is we have a lot of ways that we can combat it too. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel. I'm definitely going to be bringing you way more information about what can trigger inflammation, how we can deal with it. So definitely stay tuned. And if you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them. I love hearing from you guys. All right. May God bless you and your health. Bye.